Hello! Hello, and welcome to Tuesday Tea Time at 2. I am Paegan O'Ceallaigh, vtuber, streamer, resident druid streamer, and I am here today to talk to you guys about important topics for this crazy journey that we're all on together of content creation, of becoming a content creator and becoming a successful content creator. So in these little workshops that I like to do, I will talk to you about a topic. I will share with you my tips and tricks, what's been working for me, what's not working for me, the thought processes behind everything, and I invite you to do the same. If you have any questions, if you have any advice of your own that you would like to share about the given topic, I encourage you to please either exclamation point ask if you have a question, or exclamation point or advice in the chat. Just to let me know that you have something you'd like to say. We'll get you set up on the Discord and we'll pull you in, and you'll appear right here in this little nifty box that'll show who you are and your profile photo. So that's why everyone knows who is talking. Because these workshops have never been, it was never my intention that I just sit here on my soapbox as if I am the be-all, end-all of information for you, or as if my way is the only way. I can only speak from my experience, what's working for me, what I know, what I have researched, what I have tried myself. And if something different works for you, let us know. Let us know so that we can all grow. We can all get around each other and all succeed together, rather than just, one of us are to be stumbling around in the dark. So, today we are going to talk about a very important topic, which is project planning. Project planning is something that I see a huge need for in lots of the streamers that I interact with, a lot of the VTubers that I know, that are friends of mine, that I work with, that are on the Discord, or that I just see on Twitter or in the same sort of space. Project planning is something that I think a lot of streamers never really consider the need for when they sit down and they go, I'm going to become a streamer. Well, there's a lot that goes into being a streamer, whether you're a live streamer, whether you're making videos on YouTube, whatever it is, whether you're on Twitch, you're on YouTube, you're on any of the other sites, Facebook. People still stream on Facebook? Does anyone still stream on Facebook? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. No matter where you are, no matter where your content is, project planning is super important. And I think not enough people think about the need for project planning when they sit down and decide that they're going to become a content creator, they're going to become a streamer. And the reason why I notice that this is a huge problem is owing large part to the VTuber community. I know I say a lot about VTubers all the time, but that's because I am a VTuber, and this is where I reside, so this is where I see things happening. In the VTuber space, we all have a tendency to be pre-debut. And to try to build a bit of a hype and a bit of a following before we actually start streaming. And one of the things that I see happen all of the time is people will come out, a new VTuber will come up and say, I'm pre-debut, and then they'll be pre-debut forever. There's a couple of people that I followed, that I met and I interacted with a little bit when I was pre-debut, that had already been pre-debut for several months before I even entered the space. And they're still pre-debut now, and I've been streaming for 8 months. And a large part of this comes down to the fact that, they don't consider project planning as something that they need to do. So we're going to talk about project planning today because it's going to impact so many things. Not just if you're pre-debut or if you first start, but it's also going to impact every single upgrade that you make to your streams and to your content, and it's going to impact every new idea that you have for your content. So every single thing that you decide to do, it's going to require some project planning. For example, I'll use myself. When I started these Tuesday tea times, that required project planning. That was a different sort of deal. Just like Grove Grooves. Grove Grooves required a lot of project planning, and it still requires project planning every time there's a new album due out. Right? I didn't just sit down one day and go, you know what, I'm going to make these streams, and then did them. No. Oh no. No. Every new thing that I do and every new thing that you're going to do is going to require planning. You always have to have a plan for everything that you do. I say this in every Tea Time Tuesday, and here it is. This is another whole stream about having a plan. Project planning is also very important for every single collab that you do. If you're going to do a collab with someone, that's a project. And a project needs a plan. It does. We've talked a bit about collaborating before in some of our other ones, but it's very important that you recognise a collab is a project. You're not just going to sit down, jump in call with some people and play a game. That's not making content. You're not being a streamer at that point. You're just being someone playing games with their friends and broadcasting it. Alright? And if that's what you want to do, if streaming is just a hobby for you, fine. Fine, no problems, all the power to you. But if that's what you're doing, you do not have the right to sit there and wonder why you're not growing, why you're not hitting affiliates, why you're not making income, why nothing seems to be taking off, why you're always streaming to the same 2 viewers all the time. It's because you're not planning, and you're not planning your projects, and you're not planning your content. It all comes down to planning. So today we're going to talk about project planning. We're going to talk about why project planning is important, because it is very important, but I'd like you guys to know and understand why project planning is important. So that way, if you have any thoughts like, oh yeah, I don't need to do that, maybe we can break you out of that thought pattern and get you to realise, oh yeah, it's actually very important. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about when you should be planning your projects. When you should be planning your projects, because once you know it's important to plan them, the next logical question is usually, when am I supposed to plan things? So we'll talk about that a little bit. Then we'll talk about what to plan for, what you should actually be planning for when you're planning out your projects, so that way you know. And then we'll end off with some best practices, some things that you can do when you're sorting your own project planning, so that when you leave this stream, or if you're not at the live stream and you're just watching the video on YouTube, when you leave the video, you will have some ideas in your head, some best practices that you can go out and start making action on. Because that's what we aim to do here. We aim to help you hit the ground running in everything that you're doing. Now, if you're already a streamer, if you've already started and you've not started doing these things, don't worry. Don't worry, don't panic. It's never too late to start. It's never too late to start, and you can absolutely do this stuff. Hello, Captain, why use that name? Hey, it's Spooky Month. Not quite Spooky Month yet. Don't get ahead of ourselves. So, let's start off with talking about why content planning is important. Why do you have to do it? Why should you bother? Why should you spend the time? Yes, Phantom, I do remember that it's you. It is Phantom Jed. So why is content planning important? Content planning is important for your time management. You only have a limited amount of time in the day. All of us only have 24 hours in a day. Doesn't matter what you do. That's only 24 hours in a day. You're never going to change that. And a lot of us, as small-time content creators, we don't have all day to spend on our content creation, right? You're not a full-time streamer yet. A lot of you might still be in school. You might still have another job that you go to in order to pay your bills and, pay rent, put food on the table, that kind of thing. And those things are very important. Of course, we all would like, I think, at some point, to become a full-time content creator. I think that's the goal, that's the dream. We'd all love to do that. But until you reach that point, you have to have very good time management skills. So that way you can, grow your stream and grow your content and all of that while still doing all of the other things that you have to do in life, right? But outside of that, even if you do get to a point where you can become a full-time content creator, you still have to have some sort of balance, right? Even if you can devote 8 hours a day to working on your content creation and your business, essentially, you still have to have time to sleep, to eat, to clean your house, to interact with your children or your pets or your partners or your friends or your family. You have to be able to have some kind of work-life balance, no matter what it is that you're doing. And having proper time management is going to make a world of difference for that. You need to be able to manage your time. And part of managing your time is planning your projects properly. Because if you plan out your projects, you know how long each thing is going to take. You can kind of build a schedule. You can build your day around what needs to be done today or what could be done tomorrow, what's going to be done next week, what doesn't have to be done until next month. Time management is very, very important. Anyone who talks to me outside of these streams knows I am constantly busy. I constantly have so many balls in the air, and I'm still a relatively small streamer. In the grand scheme of things, I am very small. I am, and yet I could work, if I wanted to, if I allowed myself to, I could work 18 hours a day on this stuff and still not finish everything all in a single day, all in a single week. Too bleeding busy, says Mr. Blob Evil. Yes, he knows. He's one of my mods. He sees how much I do all the time. Now, if I didn't have the ability to plan out my projects, I would constantly be running around like a chicken with my head chopped off, even more so than I already do. The thing that helps is being able to go, okay, this needs to be done on Tuesday, this needs to be done on Wednesday, this needs to be done on Friday, that can wait until next week. And all of that comes from project planning, from planning out projects. It's super, super important, and it's going to be so much more important as you start growing. So start now, start working on your project planning skills, start practicing it and getting into the habit of it. So that way, when you do have a bunch of balls in the air and you start seeing growth and you start having all of these other projects, you already have the habits, you already know how to manage your time, and you already know how to break things up for yourself. It's very, very important. Cohesion. Planning your projects in advance is going to allow you to have more cohesion to your final product, right? Because you've planned out the whole thing. You've planned out the whole thing, you know what you need, and you can look at all of the separate parts of your project, and make sure that they all fit together. So, if you think about your branding, right, you've thought about your branding beforehand, and you've thought about how your channel points are going to match in with your branding, with your fonts, and with your character concept, or with whatever it is. Looking at all of those moving parts together, you can sort of get a cohesion going on. If you're planning your projects in much the same fashion, you can then look at all of the different parts and pieces that you have and figure out how they're going to work together and be able to get a sense of cohesion that you're not going to be able to get if you just kind of dive into it and wing it, and you go, well, I'll figure it out as I go and everything will work fine. It might work fine. It might work fine. It just might. But it might work out a lot better if you plan everything out and you know how things are going to go. Sorry about that. Needed some tea so that I don't die. And I'm going to drink some more tea as well. So, planning out your projects, it's going to give you cohesion to your end result. And that's what you want. That is what you want. You want, when you release something, when something goes out, when you start doing something, you want people to look at it and go, wow, this is actually really well thought out. This is great. You've thought of everything. Look how good this is. You want that. You want that. Not only for yourself and for your own satisfaction to go, haha, I did a good job, but also because you are performing for an audience, right? With content creation, you're performing for an audience. And a good way to impress your audience, a good way to impress your audience is by being together, by being collected, by having as little scuff as humanly possible. By having all of your bits and your bobs and your moving pieces moving together and working together well, it's going to impress people. And it's going to help you find viewers, and it's going to help you grow as well. Very important. It's also important to do some project planning, because you'll end up with better results. You'll have cohesion to everything, but moreover, you'll have better results. You'll have better results because you'll be able to test things. You'll be able to make sure you're not missing anything. You haven't overlooked anything. You've not forgotten something. You know, it's not this nebulous idea of, oh, I would like to add this and have this thing and have this thing and have that. And as you're going through all of the minutiae of dealing with those separate things and setting up those separate things, you're not going to forget one. You're not going to forget one, you're not going to neglect one, you're not going to go ahead and launch and start up whatever it is you're doing and then be like, oh crap, I meant to add this command to the bot, or I meant to do this, because you had a plan and you're able to tick things off one at a time as you go through them. So in the end, you'll have a better result than just sort of winging it and hoping for the best. Planning your projects also allows you to get help. It allows you to get help when you need it. Now, a lot of us are going to reach a point, and some of you might be at this point right now, where you're like, man, I want to do this. I have this great idea, or I want to become a streamer, and I have this great idea, and I know I could do it. I just need help. I just need help. If we were to ask you right now, what do you need help with? If we were to sit down and say, I'm here, I'm willing to help you, what do you need? Would you have a proper answer for me? Would you have a proper answer for me? Do you know what help you need? Or maybe you just know that you need help. If you're planning out your projects, let's say you want to do a collab. You want to set up a collab with people, and you need to make a scene, and you need to set things up to your stream deck, and you need to fix your audio and all of that. You know what you need to accomplish. It means you also know what you might need help on. If someone says, wow, there's a lot on your plate, what can I do to help? You can go, well, I have to complete these things. These are the things that absolutely I have to do myself, and these are the things that someone else could help with. But if you haven't planned out your project, if you don't know what you need, you don't know how someone can help you. So even if you have someone sitting there being like, I will help you, what do you need? If you can't tell them what you need, you can't get help. You can't get help. You can't just shout, "Help me," and expect that things are going to go well. So planning out your project is going to allow you to get the help that you need if you're stuck on something, but it's also going to allow you to get help just in general. And this is going to become important as you grow, because you're going to need to learn how to delegate things. Delegate things to your mod team. If you have a partner, if you have, if you hire an editor or anything like that down the road, you're going to need to know how to delegate. You're going to need to know what someone else can handle and what you have to do yourself. If you're not planning your projects, you won't know. It's very, very important. So these are some of the reasons why planning your projects is so important. It's so important. I cannot stress enough how important it is. And I hope that it convinces you just a little bit, or gives you something to think about that makes you go, you know what? Yeah, I can see how planning out my projects might be really important. So now that we've talked about why it's important to plan, let's talk about when you should be planning your projects. You should be planning your projects when you have an idea. When you have an idea, you should plan your project. Start your planning. I don't mean that, you have a passing thought in the middle of the grocery store of something that might be great, and you just stop everything you're doing and you start planning out your project right there. No. That would be ridiculous. Personally, for me, when I have an idea, I have my phone with me. We all usually have our phones with me. I have just notes on my phone. I jot down a note on my phone. Or if I'm at my computer, I have sticky notes. I just jot down a note and I leave it for when I have time. When you have time to sit down and plan your project, that's when you should do it. Before you start acting on an idea, before you start going gung-ho into your idea, before you start, working on it, you should sit down and plan. So once you have an idea, a cool idea, the next thing that you should do is start your project planning. That's when you should plan. You should plan before you act. Plan before you act. You should plan your projects on your planning day. On your planning day. What's that? What's that? You don't have a day that you specifically devote to project planning. Well, that's a good place to start, isn't it? Set aside some time every day, or every week, or even once a month. Set aside time to do your planning. I personally have a day every week that I sit down and plan. Thursday, if you're interested, Thursdays are my planning day. Is when I sit down and I start planning all of my projects. So I plan out my next week. I break down what I need to do in my next week from all of my projects. And if I have any new projects that I'm thinking about doing, I sit there and I start working on my plan. You should have dedicated time to work on planning. Your projects. Now, this could be a couple of hours every day. This could be a couple of hours on a specific day of the week. This could even be, maybe you have one day a month where you sit down and you work on your planning. If you have a really crazy, chaotic schedule and you're not able to devote time every week or every month to a specific day to project plan, then you should set aside time. Set aside time whenever you find it and do nothing but plan your project. So if you come across, maybe you have 2 hours and you're like, what am I going to do with these 2 hours? I should work on stuff for my stream. I should work on stuff for my videos. Sit down, take that 2 hours and use it to plan your projects. Because if you plan out all of your projects, then the next time you find yourself with 2 hours, you already know, you already have your plan, and you could just look at your list. You could look at your plan and you could go, oh, well, I need to make a logo. I need to find background music. I need to rig my stream deck. I need to program my chatbot. You know all of the things that you need to do. So when you do find time, it's not wasted. It's not wasted trying to figure out what would be the best use of my time. What should I do here? You don't get paralysed. You can just go, I have 2 hours. Here's my list of things I need to bang out. All right, let's get to work. Set aside time to do some planning. It may feel like it's a waste of time. It may feel like, oh man, I've spent 2 hours trying to come up with a plan, and that's 2 hours that I could have been gaming or talking to friends, or that's 2 hours that I could have spent, working on my model or working on my art or whatever that I need. But I promise you, that 2 hours that you spend working on your plan is going to save you so much time down the road. It's really worth it. Set aside time to make your plans. Going to drink some tea so that I don't die. So, when to plan? Obviously, you're going to plan when you have an idea, and you're going to have time that you set aside in order to plan. But that's not really going to help you if you're just starting out in project planning. It's not really going to help you get a good sense of how much time beforehand you need to plan for things. So, now I'm going to give you some good starting line advice. I want to be very clear that these timelines might not work for you personally, and they might not work for the specific project that you are planning. Alright? Every project is going to be different. Every project is going to require more or less work. It's going to be more or less involved. You might need different time frames for things, and that's something that you're going to have to learn to adjust on your own based on how much time you have to devote to working on things, how productive you are when you are sitting down and working, the sheer number of things that need to be done. All of those things are going to factor in. But as a good starting rule of thumb for you to start off with, for you to try out, a good place to start is plan your projects 1 month beforehand if it's a long-term or a large project. Plan 1 month before you mean to release something, right? So if you would like to do something big for October, if you'd like to do something big for October, for the end of October, maybe you want to do something for Halloween, right? You should have your plan for what you're going to do and what you need to do, and your plan should be finished. Your plan should be finished 1 month before Halloween, because that will give you all month to work on your plan. Alright? Does that make sense? 1 month is beforehand is when your plan should be finished. Now, if it's going to take you longer to do your plan, obviously start sooner. Start sooner. If it takes you longer to come up with a plan, start sooner. But your plan should be finished 1 month before something if it's a big project or if it's a long-term project. So that way you have a month. And you can, if it's a larger project, if it's something that's going to take you multiple months, then your plan should be finished 1 month before you start working on your project. Alright? 1 month for long-term projects. And for short-term projects, 1 week. 1 week beforehand. So that means if it's something small that's going to be done, if it's something that is not going to take a lot of time, if it's just your streams for the week, if it's just a small, quick collab, your plan should be done 1 week before the project is due, 1 week before you're meant to go live. So that way you have an entire week to work on things. Alright, these are just basic rules of thumb. If you need more time, to make your plans, if you need more time to enact your plans, then you need to give yourself more time. Alright, I'm not suggesting that 1 month and 1 week is going to always work for every project, for every person. That's unreasonable. These are just baselines for you guys to start off with. Start off with these and adjust them as you need. Darth, personally my long-term plan would be a 6 months to a year, but I only like to start doing smaller projects. That's fair, Darth. That's fair. Having a long-term plan is good. I personally have a 5-year plan. But we're talking today specifically in terms of projects. So, I mean, I don't know if you mean to say that you have a project that you intend to be working on for a year before it's finished, or if that's just a goal for you, like by the end of the year I would like to have these things done. But for specific projects is what we're talking about. And I mean, if you have a project that's going to take you 6 months to a year, totally fine. Totally fine. Totally and absolutely fine and acceptable. You know, everybody has different circumstances, everybody has different ideas, everybody has different projects. That's why these timelines, not set in stone. Not set in stone, and you are going to have to adjust them. This is just my recommendation. If you have no idea where to start, this is a good starting point. And you can adjust. You can adjust as you go. Broken Screen Desu. I have several projects and I haven't made any plans for them. Oops. Well, good time to start. Good time to make some of those plans, isn't it? Good time to do it. Making a plan now will save you time later on. It always does. This is why I am a huge proponent of plans. So, we know why planning is important, and we know more or less when to start our planning. Let's talk about what we should be planning for. What should we be planning for? We should be planning for graphics that we need and tech that we need. So if you need to show something on screen, if you need a logo, if you need anything visual, you should plan. You should make plans for those things. Where you're going to get them, what you need, how much you're going to spend on them, or how much you have to spend on them if you're going to be commissioning graphics or images or anything like that from an artist, or how long it's going to take you to sit there and draw it or make it yourself. If you're an artist who have those capabilities, you should be planning your graphics, the things that you need. All of these, everything that you see right now on screen has been planned. All of these things with the book. I plan these every week because I know I need to make these graphics. This is a great example of something that you should be planning with every project that you do. You might not always have a book with a bunch of bullet points, but you may need a gimmick, you may need a new raid gimmick, you may need, you know, something to fold down the screen, you may need a logo, you may need a thumbnail for a video, you may need a go live announcement. It doesn't matter what it is, you're probably going to need something graphic. Have a plan for it. And tech as well. Now, I don't just mean you need to make sure you have a camera and a microphone or fancy equipment. Yes, those are things you might need and you might need to plan for. But you also need to make sure that you're planning for getting things into OBS. Getting things set up in OBS is going to be a large chunk of time. You need to have that in your plan. Getting things set up on your Stream Deck. If you're using a Stream Deck or you're using Touch Portal, you're going to need to plan time for that. Plan time to set those things up. You're going to need to plan time to add in anything that needs to be added in to your chatbot. Plan time for those things. They're really important stuff. Really important stuff, and it's very easy to overlook them. Because when you're planning, oh, I need to do this and I need to have that and I need all of this, and then the stream will be great, it's very easy to forget, oh no, I needed a logo, or oh no, I needed something on the screen, or oh no, I didn't set myself time to sit down and actually load everything into OBS. So it's important to plan time, put those things in your plans. Plan for your graphics and plan for your tech. Those are vital components of your plan. Because without graphics and without your tech, you don't have a stream. You don't have a video. Those things don't happen. If you don't have something to show. They don't happen. They're very fundamental, and yet we tend to forget just how much time those things can actually take. Add them to your plan. Is this just a dig at Blobby section about his POS stream? No. No, not at all. I will not take any digs at you, Blobby. You have made it very clear that you're just streaming for a lark. You're just doing it for a hobby, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. If you want to just stream for a hobby, all the power to you. I'm not going to take digs at you. Just like anyone else that's here, that's in these live streams or watching these videos, I'm not here to take digs at you. I'm not. I'm here to point things out to you that maybe you didn't think about, that maybe you did not consider. So that way you can reconsider them, you can look at things differently and make some changes if you decide that you should. Darth, I have most of the tech needed to make a good quality review, but I didn't realise I was missing 1 or 2 items that are needed. Yeah, and now I think you're at a point where a lot of your work is done and you're stalled out. You're stalled out because you didn't know that you needed those things, you didn't consider that you would. And now your timelines for getting things started and off the ground are all kinds of messed up, right? It's important to project plan. Alright, so the next thing that you are going to plan when you're project planning is you're going to plan your marketing and your hype. So you need to plan out what are you going to do to tell people about what you're doing. Are you going to make an announcement on Twitter? Are you going to make an announcement on Discord? Are you going to just tell people on stream, hey, here's what I'm working on? Are you going to put out a YouTube video that says, coming soon? Are you going to release a teaser? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You should have a plan for your marketing. You should also have a plan for how you're going to build hype. You should have a timeline for these kinds of things. Because when it comes to, launching a new project, launching a collab, whatever it is, you're going to want to build hype. You want people to be excited about your project, right? You're putting a lot of time and effort into this, and it's because you want a positive response. You want a positive response from your viewers, from your audience. You want to maybe get new viewers. And the way that you're going to do that is by telling people about your project. And so you want to have a plan to tell people about your project as you're working on your project. You don't want to put in all of this time and effort to complete this project and then have to wait and not touch it and not use it and not put it out publicly until after you've built hype. So that way you get your maximum, growth out of what you've done. Instead, as you're working your way through things, you want to be slowly building hype. Let people know that you have a project in the works. Let people know what that project is. Let people know you're getting closer. Make people, excited about it. Build that anticipation for when you finish. And if you've planned out your project, you can go, all right, well, I need to build hype for this thing that I'm doing. I have my plan, And my plan says, after I finish my logo, I'm going to release my logo to people and let them see it and tell them about my project that I'm doing, now that they have something visual that they can see. The next part that I finish is going to be, once I get all of my graphics done and set up in OBS, I'm going to release some more information to everyone and tell them, here's my launch date. My launch date is going to be 2 weeks from now, and build some hype, let people start planning. And then, you know, maybe you just need finishing touches. And you've got your stream deck figured out, and you've sorted out your bugs, and you let people know again. You say, hey, this is coming soon, we're 3 days away. You want to be able to build your hype and do your marketing for your project while you're doing your project, while you're actually completing your project and working on it. You want to be doing your marketing and building your hype in the background at the same time on the side. And that becomes very, very difficult to do if you've not planned out your project. So when you're planning your project, plan out what you want to do for marketing and when you want to release that marketing. Have that as part of your project plan. And the last thing that you want to make sure is part of your project plan is the people and the content. Right? Obviously, your project, you're going to plan the content. We've done a whole workshop on content planning. If you've not seen it, go look. It's right here on the YouTube. You can find it. It's right on this channel, in this playlist. Plan your content. So part of your project plan should also be your content plan, so that you know what content you're going to be making, what you're going to need to make that content, and you have a plan in place for it. Should be part of your project plan. And people should be part of your project plan as well. Now, if it's a collab, if it involves another person, you should have plans for that. If it's going to involve other people in general, if it's going to involve your chat, if it's going to involve your viewers, if it's going to involve people on the Discord, if it's going to involve, if you have someone helping you, you need to have a plan for those people, what you need of them, what you expect them to do. All of that, you need to plan for people. That should be part of your project plan. If you need voice lines, then you need to have it somewhere in your project plan that you need such and such a person to provide these voice lines. And you need to have a time frame worked out for yourself for how long that's going to take. This also comes down to artists as well. If you have an artist that's working on something, you need to plan what you need from them and how long it's going to take them. Anything that involves another person is going to involve time. And you know what? Other people have their own schedules. Other people have things that they're doing. It gets very complicated. But what you don't want to do, and what I see so many people doing, is they go, I need art from this artist, or you've commissioned this artist, and now I'm waiting. I have no idea how long it's going to take them. I don't have a turnaround time. I don't have a due date. I am just waiting in limbo for this artwork to be done. That's a problem. That's a problem. What that says to me is that you did not plan out anything at all. Because if you planned out something, when you go to an artist and you go to commission them and you say, I need this, if you didn't ask them what their turnaround time is, if you didn't give them a date that you need this completed by, you didn't plan. You didn't plan. And you deserve to sit there and wait. And wait, and wait, and wait. And this happens to a lot of people because they don't communicate with their artist. They don't let them know, I'm on a timeline, I'm on a time frame here. It's not whenever you can get it done. It's, I need it by this date. And if you can't provide it by this date, then I need to find a different artist. I see so many people ignore that. They want art. They want this particular artist to do it, and they're willing to wait forever. This is why I know people who commissioned artwork 6 months ago and are still waiting for it. Six months. You've needed something for 6 months because you need it for whatever it is you're doing for your project, and you're waiting 6 months for another person to finish their part. That's a problem. That's a problem. So you avoid that. You avoid that by planning what you need and how long you can wait for it. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go up to an artist and you say, I need this in 3 days. That's not going to happen. You need to plan reasonable time. You need to plan reasonable time. And if you don't know how long is reasonable, ask. Ask. If you don't know how long it's going to take someone to do what you're asking, you can ask an artist. I'm going to continue using the artist as an example. Let's say you need a bit of artwork done and you're trying to make your project plan and you know that you're going to need this artwork, but you have no idea how long it might take someone to do. It's all right in your project planning phase to go and reach out to a couple of different artists that you're considering and say, hey, I am considering this. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. About how long do you think it would take you to do something like this? Get their opinions. If they say it'll take me about 2 weeks, okay. Now you can add that 2 weeks to your project plan. Right? If you don't know how long it's going to take someone to do something when you're planning your projects, ask. Reach out and ask. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's not difficult. Communicate with people. If you don't know how long something is going to take you, you can also ask. You can also ask. Maybe you've just gotten your Stream Deck, right? And you need to set it up and you have no idea how long it's going to take you. You can ask someone that did set up their Stream Deck. Ask them. Just be like, hey, when you first got your Stream Deck, when you first set it up for the first time, about how long did it take you? Get their opinion. Ask a couple of different people. And then you can also ask them, how familiar were you with the equipment? You know, you can find out how much they knew going in and try to find someone who is at the same sort of level that you're at. And you can kind of judge how long it might take you based on how long it took someone else. Right? Ask around. This is why you network with other creators. This is why you join the Discord and the Tea Party section so that you can ask these kinds of questions of your fellow creators. Right? Ask around. Talk to people. Figure it out. And you know what? When you first start planning your projects, your time frames are probably going to be off. They are. Your time frames are probably going to be off, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. It's going to take you some time to get things dialed in properly. That's okay. That's okay. You'll get better at it as you did. So, we know why it's important to plan our projects. We know what to plan for. We know when to plan. Let's talk about some best practices. Now that you know, you're like, all right, Pay, I know I need to plan my project. I get it. It's important. I know what to plan for. I know when to plan. I'm going to sit down right now and do some project planning. How do I start? How do I start? How do I do this? Plan for the end result and work backwards. Plan for what you want at the end of your project, right? So if your project is, I want to make these Tuesday tea time streams. I want to sit here and talk to a chat, and I want to go over a topic, and I want to be able to show people what I am talking about on the screen, and I want to be able to do that, right? That is my end result. This is what I'm planning. I then want to go through and go, okay, so in order to reach this end result, I need a background to put my model on. I need my model. I need branding all over the place. I need, my toolbars. I need to set up my chatbot to do what I need it to do. I need graphics for my book. I need graphics for all of my bullet points. I know what things I need because I looked at the end result and I've worked my way backwards. That is what you should do. If you've no idea where to start at the end. Start at the end result of what you're trying to do and work your way backwards. Break it down into different parts. Break it down into smaller parts, right? Break it down into smaller parts so that you know what things you need. And then, once you've done that, you can even break those down even further into smaller tasks. You can break those down into smaller tasks. Broken screen Desu. Dividing into smaller tasks also helps. It does. You can break things down multiple times. Start at the end. Start with where you want to get and break it down into the pieces that you need. Then you can break down those pieces into the steps to get them, or into the smaller tasks to get those completed. Start at the end of what you're trying to do and work your way backwards. That is how you make your plan. You're also going to want to plan for the worst. Plan for the worst case scenario. Plan for, as you're breaking these things down, each individual thing that you're breaking out, plan for what could go wrong. How could this go wrong? How could it go wrong? What is the worst thing that could happen? And plan for what you'll do in that situation. Plan for what you'll do in that situation because things are going to go wrong. Things are going to go wrong. Either something is going to break, you're going to have a hang-up with another person, you're going to have something happen in your life that is going to take away time that you planned to devote to something. It does not matter what happens. Something is going to go wrong. Something is always going to go wrong. No project ever goes perfectly according to plan. No project ever goes perfectly according to plan. The people who seem to have projects that go according to plan only seem that way because they have planned for the worst. These are the people that have contingency plans. These are the people that have plan A and plan B and plan C and D, E, F, all the way down the alphabet. Now, I'm not suggesting that you need to do that you need to have, plans Y all the way down to plan Z, triple X, whatever. But you should have contingency plans in place for when things go wrong. And the best way to do that is everything that you're planning, stop and ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen with this bit? What is the worst thing that can happen? And then plan what you're going to do if the worst thing that can happen happens. Add that to your project plan. That is going to make things go so much easier for you and so much smoother. It's going to take a bit of time, especially when you're first starting out, trying to figure out what could possibly go wrong. And you know what? That's alright. Ask. If you don't know, if you can't figure out what could possibly go wrong with something, ask. Ask me. Ask a fellow creator. Jump in the Discord Tea Party section. Feel free to say, hey, I am planning on having my chatbot do, I don't know, a magic 8-ball command. I can't figure it out. What is the worst thing that could happen with that? Anyone have an idea? People can respond to you. People will respond to you. They'll let you know, oh, hey, the programming might stop working. Someone might spam your chat with it. People will give you ideas of things that might go wrong. And then you can plan for how to fix those. I have said this before, and I have said it so many times, and I'll say it again. Nobody gets anywhere alone. Nobody gets anywhere alone on this crazy journey of content creation that we're on. You're not expected to have to know everything, to have all of the skills, to be able to do everything on your own. You're not expected to, and you don't have to. Don't go it alone. There's help available. There's people that you can talk to. Use them. Use them. And the last best practice that I have for you guys today, the last bit of advice, and it's a big one, especially if you're new to project planning. If this is all new to you, it's a huge one. Give yourself more time than you think you need. Give yourself more time than you think you need. For everything. For everything. If you think it's only going to take you an hour to do something, in your project planning, give yourself 2 hours. Give yourself 2 hours. If you think something is going to take a day, give yourself 2 days. Give yourself 2 days. If you think something is going to take a week, give yourself 2 weeks. If you think you can have everything done by October, give yourself till November. Give yourself more time than you think you need. Because things are going to go wrong. Things are going to go wrong. You're going to run into problems. And if you've given yourself more time than you thought you would need, then it's no worries. It's no worries. You don't have to worry about it. You have plenty of time to sort out whatever the problem is. If something happens in your life that takes time away that you planned to spend on something, it's not a worry, it's not a concern, because you have extra time and you still have plenty of time to work on what you're doing. Moreover, give yourself more time than what you think you're going to need, so you don't get overly stressed. You don't get overly stressed, you don't get burnt out. So that way, if you're working on something and you're just like, I don't want to look at this anymore right now. I don't want to. It's okay. You can take that time away and not look at it, and you can take a break. A break that you didn't plan to take. And it's alright. Because you have more time than you thought you were going to need. Give yourself more time than you think you need when you're planning your projects. So that way you can adjust. You can adjust. You can look after your own mental health, your own well-being. You can deal with problems as they arise. You can take time away for anything that happens. Give yourself more time than you think you need, and your project planning will be a success. So that's it, you guys. That is all I have for you today on project planning. I thank you guys so much for being here, for your comments in the chat. Very on topic. I appreciate the points that you guys have made. If you guys found anything in this stream useful or in this video, please hit that thumbs up button. It really does help. You can hit that thumbs up on the stream, hit it on the video. It really does help me out. If you have any questions or comments that I did not answer, feel free to leave them in the comment section below on the YouTube, or join the Discord. Join the Discord. Always happy to help out, and so are all of the other content creators out there. It's a wonderful community that we're building, and we're in the process. We're planning our very own project to make that just a little bit better for everyone else. If this was helpful to you, if you would like to see more of these, please consider hitting that subscribe button. That subscribe button really helps me out. I have a goal of getting 200 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year. 200 subscribers, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. I think it is very doable, and I would really appreciate your help. As always, a huge thank you to you guys out there, you content creators, you streamers that have been using grooves in the backgrounds of your videos, in the backgrounds of your streams, or anyone who is just listening to it on Spotify or YouTube because you enjoy the music. Thank you guys so much. It means the world. If you don't know what Grove Grooves are, link is down below. It is royalty free and copyright free music that you can use as a content creator for whatever you'd like. You don't have to worry about getting copyright strikes, and I appreciate you using them. You using Grove Grooves. Thank you all so much, and I shall catch you next time for tea. Have a wonderful day.